Breaking news, the Nets are putting a number of players on the trade market, including one big surprise. Does this signal an early start to the NBA's trade season? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to our 100% independent NBA channel. All right, let's get into this. The Brooklyn Nets right now sitting in the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. They got off to a great start, a start that nobody expected. They were winning games, and in the games they were losing, they were extremely competitive. They went into the season expecting to be one of the worst teams in the NBA and therefore having a great shot at capturing the flag. Cooper flag expected to be at the top of this year's NBA draft class, but there's a number of other prospects as well. This class is loaded. Teams want to get one of these top 5 picks in the draft, and the Nets appear to be well on the way after trading back for their own picks over the summer, trading Mikal Bridges to landing one of these intriguing young talents. But then there was concern that maybe they had won too many games already. Well, hold on just a second. Now, the Nets, according to Sam Amick, are getting ready to make some moves. The trade deadline is nearly 3 months away, but there is plenty of chatter about Brooklyn being the place to go for contending teams looking for upgrades when that crucial time of roster building finally arrives. League sources say the rebuilding Nets are expected to be open for business, even with this competitive start in which first-year coach Jordi Fernandez has made good use of the available talent. And here, this is the surprise. Fourth-year gunner Cam Thomas, averaging almost 25 points per game, failed to come to terms on extension and is widely considered to be available. 25 points per game, Cam Thomas. He is only 23 years old. You would think this would be a guy that the Nets would want to build around, that they would want to hang on to. But apparently the Nets are looking at Cam Thomas thinking, you know what? Maybe we don't come to terms on a long-term deal with him. And so perhaps it's time that we consider moving on from him. To take a quick peek, and we'll get back into the other players in just a moment, but to take a quick peek at Cam Thomas, how this situation sets up. Cam Thomas right now only making $4 million. So that is particularly exciting because it's very easy to make a trade work for opposing teams to put together enough salary to trade for Cam Thomas. Simple. Everybody can put together a $4 million trade. The question is, what kind of draft capital would the Nets want back in exchange for him? Remember, he is going to be a restricted free agent this summer, but that comes with it, restricted free agency, the ability for the incumbent team to match any offer. So if you trade for Cam Thomas right now, you guarantee that you can have Cam Thomas in the future. Now, the risk would be that another team comes in and offers him something big, and then you're forced to match a bigger offer than maybe you necessarily wanted to. But still, clearly the Nets have some concerns about being the team to pay Cam Thomas on his next contract, and they're potentially willing to move on from him if the price is right. Once again, taking a quick peek at what he's doing this season, 25 points per game, 3 assists, 3.4 boards, the three-point percentage. Look at that, 39%, which is very good on 7.3 attempts per game. 17.8 field goal attempts, and he's shooting 46%, mostly shooting jumpers. This is a guy who can absolutely light it up. And I know there's some questions in the NBA about whether or not he should be a starter or should he be more of a sixth man coming off the bench. Is that his ultimate best role, being a super scorer off the bench, like a Jordan Clarkson would be? Think about Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford, Malik Monk in Sacramento, that archetype of player. Should that be ultimately what Cam Thomas is? He would contend that no, he needs to be a starter in today's NBA. So I think what the buyer sees him as will go a long way towards determining what teams are willing to give up in order to get him. I think he's a very talented young player. He can put the ball in the basket at a very, very high rate. But if a team sees him as a starter, they're going to be willing to pay a lot more than if they see him as a super sub, as a sixth man that can come in and give you, 15 points on any given night. That's going to be a critical thing here. What does the eye of the beholder see in Cam Thomas? And that will go a long way towards determining his trade market. All right, so it's not just Cam Thomas, though. Not just him. They have proven vets like Dennis Schroder and Bojan Bogdanovic, who has yet to play this season because of left foot surgery, but is progressing towards a return. Now, Dennis Schroder has been fantastic. He's been doing everything that the Nets could hope that he would do this season in terms of increasing his value. We all know that, look, Dennis Schroder, he's a talented player, but given his age, he's 31 years old, he's not going to be around when the Nets are good again. That's just not going to happen. So with that being the case, it might behoove the Nets to go ahead and move him right now and get a solid return, especially while he's averaging 18 points, 6 assists, 1.3 steals for the Nets, having an absolutely fantastic season. Here's the thing. You look at what he's done from behind the arc, and that's been a weakness of his game in the past. 43% from three on 6.7 attempts. Is that for real? Is that sustainable that he shoots that well? Probably not that well, but could he be above 40%? I mean, he was above 40% with the Nets last season in a 29-game sample size. If this is suddenly for real and Dennis Schroder's three-point shooting has hit another level, then teams should absolutely be interested in him. The challenge is not a lot of teams need a point guard right now. The Lakers have run into that issue with trying to trade D'Angelo Russell. Not a lot of teams need a point guard, but nonetheless, Dennis Schroder could absolutely help teams, and we've seen him play with Germany in some high-pressure situations, act as the lead guy there, and he's done very, very well. So this is a guy where if you need any help, whether it's as a starter or as a backup, Dennis Schroder makes a lot of sense as a target, and based on the way he's played so far this season, the arrow is pointing up in terms of his value. So if you're the Nets and you're sure that he's not going to be a long-term piece, and just given his age, I don't think he is, then you might as well try to cash in and do it sooner rather than later while he's putting up these numbers. Again, I think the NBA trade market, we may be seeing it pick up a bit earlier than usual because of the competitive nature of the tank race this year. I think we're going to have more sellers on the market earlier than we've seen in most years. All right, but that's not it. That's not the only thing. Nope. There's even more here. Even more. Bojan Bogdanovic, okay, has not played. He's got an expiring contract, though, just like Dennis Schroder. Big man Nick Claxton signed a 4-year, $100 million extension last summer, but the reality of the Nets' long-term plans means no one is likely off the table. Nick Claxton is fantastic as well. He's a guy, he's one where if I'm the Nets, I'll be honest, if I'm the Nets, I'm just keeping him. Nick Claxton, he's young enough, and finding a young rim-running big that does the things that he does, I mean, why not? Why not just hang on to Nick Claxton right now? He is 25 years old. He's plenty young enough to be part of your team when they are good again. Now, he's been coming back from an injury this season, so his numbers don't necessarily pop off the screen the way they normally might. But you look at last season, I think a healthy Nick Claxton last season, that gives you a better idea of what he really can be. 63% from the field, can finish lobs at the rim, almost 10 boards, 2.1 blocks, 12 points. And the way the center market went this last year with so many teams suddenly willing to spend on center again, centers again, I think the center position is coming back in style in the NBA. I would imagine Nick Claxton would fetch a pretty high price tag. Taking a quick peek at his contract, Nick Claxton right now sitting at $28 million this season, but look at what the Nets did. So smart. Look at what they did. Descending contract, $28 million this season, 26 the season after, 23, almost 24 the season after that, 21.5. You're going to be paying Nick Claxton just over 10%, 11.5% of the cap in 4 years, and he will still be in his prime at that point. That's going to be such a luxury to have that contract. If the Nets really are serious about potentially moving him, just like Cam Thomas, plenty of value here. We're talking multiple firsts probably in order to get Nick Claxton, or maybe one really good first. Remember, not all first-round picks are created equal. But check this out. Cam Johnson has also showed an ability to produce for a contender during his Phoenix tenure, and at 28 years old, he remains an intriguing for those sorts of teams. And general manager Sean Marks will have plenty of possibilities to sort through as the season wears on. So quick peek at Cam Johnson. 23, again, declining contract. Well, it dips. 23.6, 21.5, and then 23.6. Again, I don't think that's a contract that teams are going to be too upset about. He's in his prime. You could argue that if the Nets are 2-3 years away, okay, then he's in his 30s by the time the Nets are good. Maybe maybe the age becomes a concern and makes him a sell. Dorian Finney-Smith, definitely a sell at 31 years old, $14.9 million coming his way this season. And then a player option. I'm sure the Nets would prefer that player option wasn't there, but player option for $15 million next season. But that's not, that's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, but that's not the end of the world. So you've got the position of high demand right now in the NBA, and that's being the wing position. And you look at what Cam Johnson is doing this season, you've got 17 points, 4 boards, shooting. He's a good shooter, 38% from 3, and I think that's a little bit low. That number definitely comes up on a good team where his shot quality increases. On 7.5 attempts, he's shooting 38% from 3. Pretty long, lanky guy who can defend a little bit. Not a great defender, but can give you defense. So bottom line is that no matter what you are looking for, no matter what you're looking for out there on the market, the Nets are a team to go to. And the thing that Sam Amick didn't even mention was Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons' big expiring contract. Let's say you're a team that you really want to shed long-term salary, $40 million expiring contract in Ben Simmons. If you're willing to pay a price in order to move multiple long-term salaries, the Nets could wind up being that team too. But look at this. You need a big. They've got Nick Claxton. What do you want to offer for him? You need wings. Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith. You need a guard. A point guard, Dennis Schroder, a proven veteran point guard that's playing at a high level right now. Dennis Schroder, hey, you want to bank on some young talent? You want to try and go for Cam Thomas, a high-scoring guard that can absolutely light it up? They've got him too. They've got whatever it is that a team could potentially need. The Nets are right there. They're open for business. And I think that this team, again, given the hot start that they had, I think this may get us off to an earlier start to trade season than usual. The Nets, as well as a number of other teams, they have every incentive right now to tank, to lose games. That might require them to jettison some of this talent in order to do so. But Brooklyn, they've already lost 3 in a row right now. That certainly will help their cause. But this team is building for the future, and they've got these talented players that I think could fit a lot of contending teams, and whatever an individual contending team needs, the Nets can be the team to provide that. That puts them in a very advantageous and very flexible position on the trade market. Exciting stuff that the Nets are open for business and ready to make moves. So let me know in the comment section who should be trading for these players. Bojan Bogdanovic, he's got to get back out on the court. But Dennis Schroder, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton, all of these guys could make a significant impact in who ultimately wins the NBA title this year. I'm expecting contending teams to come knocking on the Nets' door, and I expect the Nets to do very, very well on the trade market in terms of selling off these assets. I think they're going to get a really good return, and it may happen sooner rather than later. Everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.